Hello guys, once again it's Matt and today we have another video. So today we are flying out the Harrier in simulator, but first let's thank our members, Overlane 11B and Cots, for being the new full crew member. Thank you, it helps a lot. All the Foxpad member, all the Fishpad members, and yeah, let's get into it. Subscribe and thank you guys for being members. It helps a lot. You have no idea. This obviously needs to be a financially stable business, because if not I cannot continue. So if you are a member, it helps a lot so that I can continue to do this as a main job, which I kind of am right now because economy, right? But still not gonna get too much into that, but still let's fly the Harrier Gr.7 today, the new addition of the British tech tree. I mean, look at this cockpit, man. I know it's not DCS, right? But still, I mean, oh my God, it's such a beautiful one, and you can actually change the screens there. You can actually change the left one is always the T uh, IALD pod, I think it's called, and the right one you can change between the RWR and the inertial navigation system, kind of, you know. So it is a very cool cockpit, especially with the bubble canopy. As you see, you can have plenty of room to actually just look around. And we are doing, at these first two clips, we are doing some ground striking with it. To be honest, I'm not the most proficient pilot in a Harrier yet. I am going to be doing more videos on it, so don't you worry if this video is not the greatest thing ever. And to be honest, not the matchmaking, because there's basically no matchmaking, but the aircraft that we are fighting, especially in the third clip, which is the longer one, we will have problems with Mirage 2000s because obviously you don't have a radar. You just rely on your RWR basically to kind of defend yourself. So yeah, even though you have M9Ls, which are very good, especially in simulators, but still, yeah. So yeah, we are here flying out as a ground striker because this aircraft is actually one of the best multi-role aircraft, I think, in the game. To be honest, I think because obviously there are many aircraft that can do CAS a lot better than this, but it can do very good CAS with it. It has thermals, man. It has laser guided bombs, the paveways, which is the first aircraft to use in War Thunder, which is funny to say the least, but still. And obviously we have the Maverick Ds as well. We have the M9Ls to protect themselves. You have the cannons, you have the pod, and the performance of this aircraft is it's special. Obviously, if you saw my video on the diving down series of the Harrier 2, you would realize that the wings are completely different. The fuselage, especially the tail section, is completely different. They even used carbon fiber, man. And I mean, I am a Formula 1 fan, and I mean, carbon fiber is one of the best things ever because it makes cars go fast, and now it makes airplanes go lighter. So yeah, it's a very cool and a redesigned wing also together with these composites like the carbon fiber. So it is a very interesting aircraft, and it's just completely different than the other Harriers that we already seen. You know, it's just completely different. So if you have the other Harriers, you will probably love this one as well. But it has its problems, okay? Even though it's one of the best multi-roles aircraft, as I said, in top tier, because if you compare to the Vegan, for example, it cannot do this, the MLD cannot do this, and if you pick an aircraft like the MiG-27K, for example, it can do very good CAS, but it cannot, it doesn't have a radar still and stuff like that, and the missiles are pretty amazing, but I don't know. I still prefer an aircraft like the MiG-27, but this is just a very good aircraft. I think, especially in a dogfight, you know, it can beat basically everything in the dogfight, and with that you have some various types of aircraft that you can actually face, you know. And I think the main problem with this aircraft is I mean, the two main problems, to be honest. The speed, obviously, it's not a very fast aircraft in top speed, which means you are not going to catch an enemy if the enemy is trying to hit you by some margin, or trying to run away from you. And yeah, I killed a friendly BMP-3 there because, yeah. But still, so it's not a fast aircraft. The max speed is around 1,000 something kilometers per hour, so you will not catch anybody, you know. But if you play it correctly, you can get people by surprise. And AIM-9Ls, they have a very good range. It's one of the best. I mean, it's probably the best range that we have in an AIM-9. So yeah, it's a thing to consider, you know. And the second thing that it's a problem on this aircraft is the lack of a radar, okay? Especially in simulator and especially in top tier, on the top range of the BRs. A radar is kind of a necessary thing to an aircraft to be actually good in self defense, basically because you have so much more situational awareness if you have a good radar. As you saw on the many FF14's videos that I did, compared to the MLDs, even though I prefer the MLD and I get more kills even with the MLD, the F14 gets you in a certain position that you are always conscious on whatever it is on the battlefield, you know. And I feel like the Mirage 2000 it is like that as well. It is probably, I mean, probably not. It has the most, the the more, the most. Is it the most or the more? No, the most, right? The most modern radar that we see in War Thunder yet. So obviously, when we get stuff like the MiG-29, F-15, other stuff like that, we will see a lot other radars that are very similar to that, you know. But the Mirage 2000 has an amazing radar. It has 100 kilometers of range and it has TWS and very good missiles. And we are facing a lot of those, you know, in these battles here. So it becomes kind of a problem, you know. If you don't have a radar, you have to really rely on your RWR. You have to really pay attention to your RWR. And to be honest, I think it's an aircraft that it's more useful in simulator as a ground attacker than anything else because as you're going to see, maybe it's the matchmaking or something, but I really had problems with just staying alive after killing one or two enemies. I never actually returned home in these games that I recorded, and it's just a problem of too many Mirages, man. Too many Mirages, too many F-14s, too many MiG-23s. To be honest, I'm happy that at least we have, because you know, in simulator battles, the French and the Russians are basically in the same match always, the same team always, you know. And with that, you have kind of they basically solved the problem with the F-14 being overly used and a match. As you saw, many videos that I did with the simulators between this patch, the Drone Age, and the Danger Zone, that was the patch of the F-14. The teams, and if you play a simulator, you will realize that obviously, because the teams were always like 11 people on the American team and its allies, and the Russians were like 2, 3, 4, you know. So you were always outnumbered, which makes you very dangerous, to be honest, if you are smart, because you can actually just get a lot of people by surprise because a lot of people are just flying around. So the chances, you know, statistically to actually find somebody, it's higher than them finding you, you know. So yeah, it's just a matter of balancing things out, and the Mirage actually helped with that. So yeah, and here we have the other game that I told you about. So I did some bombing there, ended up dying for a Mirage, so I just cut it out because I was like just bombing for a lot of time, and I wanted to show this match because this match was actually the first good one that I had. Even though I died a lot, I killed like 4 or 5 aircraft. So yeah, it was a very I mean a better one. I took off with a lot of bombs and GBUs and stuff to actually bomb some targets, but in this map in Denmark, it seems to take a while to actually respawn tanks and stuff like that. So I ended up just putting my bombs on a base and got out of there. And another thing is that if you saw, I had to make a short takeoff, not a vertical takeoff, because it is modeled that the Harrier cannot actually take off vertically when it's full of bombs, you know. So that's a very cool little thing. It just doesn't have the power to it. So yeah, maybe with the Gr.7a, maybe as an upgrade in the future, which has the Mark 107 engine, but still. And then we were just flying around trying to find people. I saw a lock from the right side for the RWR, and I saw the missile launch there. If I didn't know if you saw me, but anyway, I think it was a Mirage 2000 or something that was coming to me, and it was directly coming to me, as you see, very aggressively, and I knew that he was coming, so I just tried to reverse him there because he was too fast. He was Mach 1 plus, and yeah, I'm already on his 6 because he was too fast, and the Mirage, obviously, it compresses a lot when it's fast. So good luck and launch. And a cold aspect launch is always a good launch for AIM-9L, especially for an aircraft that is not taking off its power. So that was the first kill, good kill. But as you saw, I had to rely on the RWR to locate the direction of the launch and then have to find it. So it's not the most reliable way to actually find an aircraft. So yeah, if you are going to fly it, to be honest, I think it's not the right time to actually fly the Harrier on the simulator. I think it's a very cool aircraft, but to be honest, just use the Mirage or F-14 or MLD or whatever you have that has a radar right now, if you really wanted to play a simulator, because it's just the Harrier it's very good aircraft, but the situational awareness of these is just none, you know, with not having a radar. So you just have to rely on your eyes, which is pretty alright, to be honest. A lot of aircraft rely on their eyes, but when you are facing Mirage 2000s and F-14s and MLDs shooting R-24s and AIM-7Fs and Super 530s Ds on you, having a radar can basically mean that you can actually shoot them back normally, and not having one basically means that at the start of the dogfight or the start of the engagement, you are already on a defensive position because you already need to evade a missile or something like that, or at least a lock or something. So it makes it a bit more problematic, you know, to just. I didn't manage to get a good launch here. If I had the launch, I would have survived this engagement, but as you're going to see, I'm going to be killed by a guy that I was not expecting, but still. So yeah, as you see here, the turn rate pretty amazing. Not using too much of the power, not using too much of the thrust vectoring. Starting to use a bit now because I thought he was going to just evade a little bit. So as you see, beautiful Mirage desert skiing there. So yeah, I mean, come on, it's a Mirage 1000 and the Harrier is keeping up. So the turn rate of this thing is, it's pretty badass. It's a very, very good aircraft. Just needed a radar, man. The AV-8P Plus or even the Sea Harrier will be very, very cool. And then I just died for a friendly Phantom because why not, right? But to be honest, he said that the guy was the missile just turned around, and yeah, this was my first vertical takeoff, only using missiles in the gun pod, and I forgot to use the damping mode because that would have made things easier. As you see, the aircraft is just wobbling around a lot. So as you see, I'm not the most experienced pilot in the Harrier yet. I'm still getting used to it, but it is a very fun aircraft. I just think that I will have more fun doing the video on the Mirage 2000 than on the Harrier 2, I think. Just because of the performance of the Mirage together with the missiles and radar. It's just, ooh, it's tasty. I'm not the biggest fan of the Mirage 2000, even though I have it on DCS and I fly. Right now, it's been a while since I've flown it, but I normally fly this aircraft for a bit of time, actually. And I flew the aircraft for a bit of time, and it's an aircraft that I like very much, especially because Brazil used it in the early 2000s. But it is just in War Thunder there is another thing. I just really enjoy flying the Mirage 2000 because it is a modern aircraft, kind of. Obviously it's 1980s, but still, it's the most modern aircraft that we see, together with the Harrier, obviously. But um, it's a very very modern aircraft, and with that, it kind of feels like everything works. You know, the radar works, the missiles work, the dogfights work, the cannons work, everything work. You know, it doesn't have a flaw, to be honest, on it. It has its flaws, obviously, but they're not big enough to be a problem, you know. And I feel like the more we go into these uh, top tier, I mean, more modern aircraft, the less problems they will have it, which is kind of fun to think about. So the Mirage 2000 is not my favorite aircraft ever, but is one of the most enjoyable aircraft to fly right now because of that, you know. And the Harrier closely comes into second on that because it is just such a modern aircraft as well, and modern aircraft are just amazing, amazing. So yeah, but continue with the commentating on the match. So we are here, dogfighting again against the Mirage 2000 again. So as I said, a lot of Mirages coming in and fighting, and good kill with the cannon. So yeah, the Aidens did their job. Obviously they don't have a lot of ammo, but they are very precise. They're a lot better than the 30mm ones, a lot better. But they don't have tracers, so you just have to consider that when you are flying the Harrier. So yeah, a pretty amazing aircraft. I think I mean, as I said, if we get the AV8B Plus, which has a radar, the APG-65 I think, which is the same radar as in the F-18 and in the F4F ICE, which would be okay to have it as well. But yeah, the Sea Harrier as well. I mean, I was actually hoping to see the Sea Harrier first because it is just older, you know, and it has the I think it's the Blue Fox radar. And I love Navy aircraft, but still, it's even though it doesn't have a radar, as I said, or anything like that, it is still a very very cool aircraft, and I think you should get out there and test it. It's just it has its problems, but it's not perfect, you know, but it is very very cool, and I cannot wait to see more versions of this aircraft. But to be honest, I'm waiting more for the Sea Harrier, as I said, and together with that, the Tornado. I mean, the Tornado has to come soon, you know. Even though we just got the Harrier 2, getting the Tornado ADV in the next patch, because you know, it is the 10th anniversary of War Thunder, and I feel like they are planning something big. So maybe they will add like a lot of 4th generation stuff, or they will, I don't know, release the submarines. I really don't know, but I just think that something big is coming, and I hope the Tornado and maybe my beloved MiG-25 or MiG-29 comes as well, because I enjoyed flying the MLD, but come on, I want a new toy. At least there are 60Ms for it, and that's another point actually to have, is that I mean, not maybe not with the Harrier being the point, but with the Mirage 2000 especially, having Magic 2s, but also with the Harrier 2 having AIM-9Ls. Don't you feel like a lot of other aircraft could receive this type of missiles? Like, I mean, the F4F is an obvious one, you know, with the AIM-9Ls. The MLD and MLA with the R60Ms, obviously. I think maybe the F4E could receive the AIM-9P4 or something like that. The JK also. Maybe there's one that I think he really should get it, and an increase in its BR, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but the vegan man, the J37 could get a very good RB-74 AIM-9L missile. And it is 11.0, so they can increase the BR, which would make it very, very cool to see. Very, very cool. Imagine a vegan 11.3 RB-74. I mean, it's basically the same as we have in the Mirage, you know? It's the same logic behind it. The missiles will be worse than the Super 530, the Sky Flashes anyway. Even though they are buffed right now, they are still you know, less than the Super 530, which means, I mean, come on, why is not added, you know? So yeah, but as you saw, a lot of Mirage 2000s, so probably not the best idea to be flying an aircraft without a radar right now, but it's still very fun. You still got a lot of kills, but it is just kind of a luck kind of thing, you know. To be honest, it was kind of a mistake of mine of not dealing with the automatic flares. I think it should be a matter of, you know, using a lot of the flares that you use, because I mean it has 700 flares, okay, in chef. So if you don't use it, you will be ended up having 200 to go back and safe and land to be safe, you know. So it's a problematic thing, you know, to have all these flares and not to use it. So I advise you guys to, once you get into a dogfight, just activate the automatic flare dispenser and just be fine with it, because even though the engine is a very hot one, it's not as close as a Su-25, comparing to aircraft that don't have a afterburner, you know. And obviously it's way less than an afterburner engine. So with that, the automatic flares should be alright to have it. I think it's pretty alright. So yeah, we are coming up on the last queue, and ended up dying after that. So we are going to wrap up the video. But yeah, very cool shot. As you see, the HUD is just amazing, very modern HUD. So yeah, I tried to shoot a AIM-9L before, then a little bit of lead. AIM-9L doing its job as always. Another Mirage 2000, because come on, how many are there? But yeah, basically this is it, guys, and hope you enjoyed. And I ended up dying. So I hope you enjoyed, and I see you guys on the next one. So bye guys, subscribe.